welcome.
I remember this to Saddle
Welcome
about.
to welcome to the Trailer Park Show. Folks, we are back, and we've got a large crowd here with us. I'm very excited that we have some great candidates.
I
We
saw
have some of
Michael
our
do that.
regular members here of the
This
Trailer
is the
Park Show.
candidate that ain't here, but maybe he'll show up later on, I think.
We're hoping that we have one of the candidates that we've invited to come in and talk a little bit more. But let's go ahead and do the quick introductions. To my far away place over there, we got
Okay, here.
far away.
Far left, yeah.
James
Right.
Sopoki
He's on the
and,
left there.
Ritter. We also have Gavino Fernandez from LULAC.
left.
The extreme left.
Extreme left, extreme left.
We also have Mike McNamara, who's running for the Travis County Judge.
Absolutely.
And we also have, and I just forgot your name.
Marilyn Jackson,
I totally
one of my
apologize.
favorite
I'm
girls.
like, look, I have the sheet right here. And
Yeah,
I'm
it's all
trying to
right.
make sure that I'm going to do that whole thing. But
We'll
we have Ms.
stand
Jackson,
up
who's
for
here
her.
with us again here, and I appreciate you coming back here with us. And we also have candidate for Austin City Council, Council District 1, Michael Cargill. Welcome
The
back.
crowd went,
And, we have an empty space right here. We have one of our other guests that we've invited. As you can see, we have a sign here for Julian Limon Fernandez. He is.
Oh, I keep forgetting how to make you
Well, I
stand
think
up over
I think Gavino wanted to hold on to that sign because he doesn't. He's worried that I may do something to it. I don't know why.
What's
But
that?
there. Julian Boone's out, a lot of his signs already
I
been stolen.
think he's worried that I may be the one that's.
There it
I
is.
know they had some rashes of people stealing signs. And, they got to blame somebody. They're going to blame the right winger. So
right,
he's
well-
keeping it over there on that side.
So let's get first. We got to start with our
That's some good
report
news.
on the Education Committee
That's
meeting
great news
today.
from
All
Gavino.
right. We did have a great
And then we get to our candidates.
successful education summit meeting that we're having. The summit's going to be on
January 24th.
Saturday, January 24th, 2015, during the legislature, and it's also a kickoff event for National School Week.
School choice.
School Choice, there you go, National School Choice Week. And it's going to be held at Southwest Keys, MLK, what
The
was it?
East Austin College
College
Prep.
Prep at the MLK
It's
campus.
51st and MLK, if I'm correct.
Right.
At that campus. That's a
And,
for sure date and a for sure address now.
And again, this education summit is for parents that have children within the East Side Memorial High School
But
boundaries.
not limited to.
Okay, so if you live within those boundaries and of that high school, and for example, if you go to UT Elementary, you're more than welcome to participate. If you go to one of the CANs, IDEA, as a parent, you're welcome. What we want to do is focus on the education issue of this geographic area, because once again this year Eastside Memorial failed and did not meet the grade, and it may be closing, the commissioner may shut it down. But anyway, we gained a lot of progress today. We're working on a flyer. We have a site. We have tentative speakers. Senator Cornyn has been asked to be one of our speakers.
Cornyn.
Cornyn? What did I say? Corny?
Corny. He said
Cornyn.
And,
And
coming out of you
there you
now.
go. And we also have Senator Campbell, correct?
Senator
Mhm.
Campbell,
Senator
Donna
Campbell.
Campbell,
Donna Campbell.
And
That's
Donna
important to be
Campbell.
there.
And we also
working
have
on your friend
lined up with State Representative Eddie Rodriguez.
Eddie Rodriguez.
We will
represent East Austin and the Valley.
And the valley is, then we're also going to extend an invitation to Watson. But this summit's all about the parents. It's not about the elected
The big names that are
officials
gonna
or
be there.
LULAC, or it's all about the parents, because we strongly believe that an educated parent on issues on educating the children is a great asset, and and eventually the parents are the ones that make their choice as to where they're going to send their children to be educated.
This started because so many parents don't know how to navigate within the system,
And
whether the ISD or the other systems out there.
so we'll be putting out publicity, and we will be providing a gift card to those parents that do attend the
The
full
first 100
conference.
until we run out of
First
money.
500. We are also working on that part. We have
Big job tournament
Univision 62.
Univision, yeah.
We have Southwest Keys as a host of the conference. We have the Travis
Travis
County
County Republican Party.
So the gift cards are for an incentive just for them to get there?
Just for them to get there. As we all know that parents in our community work weekends, work two jobs in order to be able to because of, many issues.
Not that
of
nobody
minimum
wants to hear
wage
you,
and
being, you know,
whatnot.
the Democrats.
So yes, that is correct. It's an incentive, like, when teachers, they go on to training and whatnot, they get paid, for professional training. So these are our parents, and we want to pay them for their professional training.
It's
in
a lower
education.
income neighborhood. A lot of these parents work on Saturday.
So,
An incentive to get the day off and not lose too badly.
So, we were able to accomplish all that today as we move forward, and as the date comes closer, we will be,
We do a lot more.
holding a press conference, announcing the summit, and then you're working on information booths from different,
Yeah, trying to slip in as many elephants as I can. in there.
we're going to reach out to private, charter, parochial, public schools.
Maybe a couple other little
Because
places they pull up.
again, we want the parents to look at what's out there, what's available. If that public school's not doing the work, well then she or he has a choice. If that charter school or that private school's not doing the work as well. So,
Part of the workshops will be school choice.
yeah, it is going to be school choice.
That will be in there. That's a firm. That's going to be one of them.
Correct.
So-
And as you said, the important part, it's for the kids. We know the people that have been there from the beginning in regards to this whole process. We know the people that haven't. And we know the people that are going to be coming on board. And it's one of those things that as me, as a private citizen who's not affiliated with any group, as I can safely say that, people will remember. People will know who was out there and who wasn't. And that's fine. But we're very glad that it's actually happening. And we're looking forward to our upcoming meeting, which I think is going to be held in next month, at the beginning of next month.
At the campus,
Yes,
MLK.
we will have more information.
More
What's going on
information.
in that piece. So it's just some great stuff. I'm really excited.
And when is it again?
January the 24th, 2015.
Oh, okay.
It'll be right around before the legislature
Right after the legislature
begins.
starts. I think the
And,
legislature starts on
the reason we're doing it at that time, well, obviously, the attention is going to be there on education, not only locally, but statewide. But also for the legislature to look at Austin and see, wait a minute, you have Allen close, you may close Gold Valley, you may close all these schools because
Johnson
they're
campus might be empty.
under capacity. Well, then that bill that was entertained last session to
5 or
lease empty public schools to charter schools for $1 could also, resurrect. Because again, as a district, they're looking at closing inner city schools because they're underutilized or under the, I think they're at 50%, 50 to 60%.
Wow.
So,
Is it because the kids aren't going to school? We don't have that
no,
many
it's
kids?
because of the increase in taxes in the inner city, what they call the gentrification.
Okay.
We don't have renters anymore.
Okay.
Right around Chico and Holly, E7, all those used to be heavily rented.
Families,
Right.
families,
Families.
family homes.
Families that were renting.
Now you have single people
Now we
or
have
people
single.
that don't have children.
Or would it have been folks who had to move because they couldn't afford the taxes? They were actually owning a property, and
some of that too.
That's another one.
That's
And
been happening as well.
right,
And what
absolutely.
area is that again?
We're looking at around I-35 east, all the way up to, now it's creeping up to Montopolis. The whole speculation, the whole increase in property values is now barely getting into Montopolis. But you're looking at that whole area, 12th Street South?
Yeah.
12th Street and
Up
South?
12th. 11th, 12th Street, right there.
10
by
years
35.
10 years ago, these people weren't paying property taxes because they were all exempt. 10 years later, seniors with homestead and other deductions are now paying $1,000 to $2,000.
Sure, we can get into those with our candidates,
They're
and
getting
we might as
big
well,
bite
huh?
taken out of.
So,
Yeah,
yeah.
absolutely.
So, but anyway, if any of
We
y'all
will have more
want
updates.
information
Okay.
on the Education Summit, you either contact Pokey, myself, or Gabriel.
Gabriel and
We do need volunteers. In order for this weekend for it to be a successful one. And parents, those of you that are out there and you have children in these schools, contact us, and we'll be putting out a registration
we're still
form pretty
working on the
soon.
registration.
And
thing
once we
to
get
look
it
at.
done, we'll start pre-registration for the summit.
Exactly. Cool. Excellent. Well, let's go ahead and move on to the two stars of this week's episode. We have Mike McNamara and Michael Cargill,
And
and of course we have Ms. Marilyn Jackson.
yeah, Ms. Marilyn Jackson is the star.
Absolutely.
That's why we have her in the
Absolutely.
center.
That's right. That's right.
But gentlemen, if possible, let's go ahead and if we may, just do a quick introduction with you two, and then we'll go ahead and
Start
Sure.
with your bio and why you run
we
it.
got some
and
great.
stuff like
I got
that.
some interesting questions for you guys. I'll tell you that much.
Oh, now he tells me. Okay. Well, it's a pleasure to be here again with you guys. It's always exhilarating to visit with you because honestly, you guys bring up things like what you're talking about, the issues east of I-35 where folks are moving out in droves and the schools are being left empty. And a lot of this points straight back at property taxes. And although the County Commissioners Court doesn't control all of your property taxes, I believe as Travis County Judge, I can push to, one, lower the Travis County property taxes, which have been going up and up and up and up and up every year. And we can talk about that some more, but also as a leader in the county to prevail upon the school districts themselves and others, the city, to try to get control of their own spending and get lower taxes and stop leaning on folks. I know there's a move afoot to give folks within the city, and a lot of people didn't realize this, that they are entitled to get a 20% personal property exemption. And they're not getting that, and nobody has talked about this until like very recently. And right now, that's a big deal. That's a huge deal. Folks are feeling more and more the pressure, and within the county, we can talk about every year. There's a property tax rate that is set by the Commissioners Court. A lot of people don't understand this because it gets confusing. But the fact is, just because your property value goes up doesn't mean that your taxes have to go up an equivalent amount. There is a control called the property tax rate, which is set by the County Commissioners Court every year. And they do an assessment, and they look at all the new people that have moved in and all the new properties that have been built and say, well, if we set it at this rate, we'll get the same amount of money we got last year. And that would be, for most of us, that's about what we have to live on, and sometimes not that much. But instead, they added on to that year after year after year. Every year, anywhere from 3% to, I think at one point they added up to 6% on top of what. And so what I'm saying is there are some folks on that Commissioners Court that this year prevailed to, instead of automatically adding another 3% onto what they had already, they cut it back to 1.5%. That was Commissioner Doherty, and some other folks came up and said, we just can't afford. We cannot afford to take that money from folks. We've got to back off. And everybody says, well, how are you going to do that and still spend all the money you want to spend? Well, for one thing, maybe you don't need to be spending all that money. But also, I believe that if we look closely enough at the budget, there are ways to find where they're overspending or double spending, or they're not following a good priority. They're maybe buying property. Has been proposed by my opponent to buy land just to keep people from developing it. And of course the term open space. Well, that's another term for just let's go buy that land so nobody can build on it. And that's also causing everybody to stack and kind of live in smaller places and in more confined residences. And that's not why people move to Texas, believe it or not. They move to Texas because it's a big place and there's lots of room to live.
My good friend Joe Quintero calls that Agenda 21.
I was going to say, have you ever heard of
I've heard
Texas
that.
Conservancy?
Absolutely.
You ever heard of Texas Nature Conservancy, I think it's called? Texas Nature Conservancy.
Okay.
They buy out these large ranches.
Do they
and
wear
stuff.
clothes at that place?
Yeah.
Okay.
Man,
I
they
did not know.
carry briefcases too, and they buy out this land, like you
Okay.
said, for open spaces. They say, well, you give us the
That's
land,
not
you
the
got to pay
same
tax
Nature
on it.
Conservancy I had in mind.
And then when
but-
you croak off, they get the land
yeah.
under
Yeah.
they promise not to sell it, but then they sell it to developers
So
to
yeah,
get money to buy more land.
there are too many things, and our county government has been labeled as a dysfunctional government. Everybody's read about that and heard about it, and this is the result of, in my opinion, hiring the same people to run your government over and over and over again and never holding them accountable for anything. And it's time to step up and hire some new folks with a different mindset and somebody with some business experience. I've got over 30 years experience in the high-tech industry, working at all different levels for all sizes of companies and working for myself. And I will bring a totally different perspective. As I say, Commissioner Doherty and Commissioner Todd started a program. They hired a consultant to do a study, and they've done a very, very thorough report about how the county government is run. And it's I mean, with all due respect, there's a lot of wonderful people that work down there, but I know that a lot of them, and this is pointed out, they're not happy with what they're doing. They don't feel like they're accomplishing what they're intended to do, and they're not given. My understanding, and this is the way I work, if you're doing a good job, you get praise and you get a reward. If you're not, then we need to talk to you and find out what the problem is and get things straightened out. There's also, going through the budget, I know overlaps and what they call redundancies, where departments are doing the same thing in two different departments, and we could find a way to cut back. There's just a lot of ways. I want to go through that budget line item by line item and squeeze it to the point that it screams and say, okay, that's we're down to the bare basics. It's about priorities. It's about priorities. It's public safety and providing services. That's what the two things ought to be. Now, a lot of people say, well, how are you going to do this? Blah, blah, blah. Okay, we can look at that, but the fact is, until we change the mindset of the people that are sitting at the dais and say, you know, people are hurting. They're getting run out of their own homes. They're getting run out of their own neighborhoods. The school registration rates, the student occupancy has been falling for years, and you just addressed that. So something's wrong, and we need to address it. We cannot just keep going forward the same way. So I'm putting my name up, and that's part of the reason I'm running. I'm about taxes. I'm about fixing roads, building more roads. And I'm about looking at that budget line item by line item and looking at it very carefully. But I'm also about working with the city and working with the state and making lives for everybody in this county more affordable, livable. I believe in livability. People talk about affordability. Well, that's one thing, but livability is the roads too. We got to get those things fixed, and it's about having enough folks out there protecting the neighborhoods and taking care of things. I was asked about this in a forum recently, and for some reason they wanted to compare teachers and sheriff's department. They want to say we're taking money away from the teachers to give to the sheriff's department, and that just doesn't make sense to me. It just.
That's your vote, isn't it?
Now that
But I could go on for a while. I want to turn
Probably
it over
give
to
it-
Michael and let him have a little talk.
before
Yeah,
that,
okay.
I
Sure,
do.
sure.
Now that
Uh-huh.
we're on county issues and county level, and you mentioned the sheriff.
Tell me about
On behalf of all of us, and I think we all
Oh,
agree here,
absolutely.
we want to send our
Absolutely.
deepest sympathy and condolence to
absolutely.
the
You gonna be
Hollis,
there tomorrow?
Hollis family, Hollis.
it. But that was the lady's name.
I think that was the
Yeah,
lady's name
yeah.
for.
A horrible situation, and yeah, I'm you know, I have a tremendous amount of respect for law enforcement folks, and I want to start calling them peace officers. We've been calling them police, we've been calling them pigs, we've been calling them whatever, but the fact is they are peace officers. They're about bringing peace to your neighborhood and bringing peace to your schools and bringing peace to your life and day in and day out. And she was out there doing it by herself,
herself.
3 o'clock in the morning. God
Making
bless
sure
her.
we safe.
God bless
And
her.
I did communicate with the sheriff, did send him our condolences on behalf of LULAC and our neighborhood, and he responded back. And so hang in there, Greg. You know, we're here
Yeah.
with you to support you and your family, the Travis
Absolutely.
County Sheriff's Department, and probably I think Commissioner Leonce was going to go to the service tomorrow,
Yes.
and I may go to the funeral. I'm
You may
not
go
too
with
sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
That would be
But-
great.
Well-
Now, Mike, you said one awesome thing, and really it all has to do with cutting that wasteful spending.
Yeah.
I think that if every government, city, state, and county, if they would be able to go in, check the books, look at the budget, cut what needs to be cut, no more duplication. I mean, if we could cut the wasteful spending, we could see so many places of where it is we could save money.
Yeah. Yeah, and
You know.
I brought this up, and then of course it got back through channels to me. Well, he's going to cut public services, and that's not what I'm saying at all. If it's a necessary service and we can provide that, but when you see there's an article in the paper, and I'm not pointing fingers, I don't know the whole story, but the article in the paper Sunday about a fire chief that has 2 daughters and a future son-in-law on his payroll on the taxpayers.
Convenient.
It
It's a family
just
affair.
on its face it doesn't look right. It just doesn't look
Isn't
right.
that illegal?
Well, the
if
employment is one
if
of
it were
the-
you or I, we'd be talking from the other side of the bars probably.
It's one of these Travis County districts.
Yes,
It's a
Emergency-
small
yeah.
area.
Yeah, this
Yeah.
emergency districts or
Yeah.
something like that.
And there might be some sort of extenuating circumstances, but things have to be looked at like that, and they have to be looked at carefully. But it's a big budget, and it needs to be looked at up and down the
Well,
line.
I know your friend Gerald needs your help, so.
I'm so ready. I've got a lot of good folks. I didn't explain my background. Most of these guys know me, and I've said it before, but I'm 4th generation Austinite. I've been trained in electronics in the Navy, and I got a degree in journalism at University of Texas, Hook 'em. and I've been fortunate by the grace of God to have a lot of good jobs in a lot of different places, and I've learned a lot of different things along the way. I've done technical writing for the most part. I've done business development. I've done communications. I've done marketing. I've done advertising. I've sold advertising, created advertising in several different languages when I was working for a company out in Pflugerville. I've worked for some very, very high-tech companies, and I've worked for some very small companies. I've worked for companies like Texas Instruments. I've worked for companies that were national defense or defense industry, including Tracor and another smaller company that I worked for over 11 years and contract to the Navy. So,
Well, I do,
awesome.
I do
yeah,
wanna go ahead
now
and-
I'll take
I-
all
I-
your
I-
time
I-
up.
I do wanna ask-
Roll it on to
We wanna
Mr.
go ahead and-
Cargill.
and-
But we'll come
Absolutely.
back to you.
information
That's all
for,
right.
Right,
Michael
and I
Cargill.
was gonna say, the more business people are elected to office like you and Michael, they go in there and they know budget restraints, they know fiscal, priorities, they know how to do without, what we don't have. And those are the kind of mindsets that you're talking
and
about.
just-
And like Michael also has a business, and that is very welcoming, I think, to government, because the rest are nothing but
Well, there's another
continued
thing,
spenders.
too, to add on
Well,
just
we'll go
real
ahead-
quick.
We'll go ahead and talk about that in just a little bit. Well,
Yeah.
I do want to go ahead and give some
Yeah.
attention to Michael Cargill.
One of my good friends.
Exactly. So,
Absolutely.
Mr.
One.
Cargill,
I don't
go
have
ahead
many.
And tell us a little bit about this is actually your first appearance here on the Trailer Park Show as a candidate. So would you want to go ahead and talk a little bit about what you're doing and how things are going, and then
why?
I do have questions for both of you.
Oh, that's right. I was going to talk until you didn't get none.
Good luck with that, 'cause
Oh man, no. Well, Michael Cargill, run for Austin City Council, District 1, which is going to be the east side of Austin from 11th Street going north, but it goes around Mueller, doesn't hit Mueller, and then it goes all the way north, all the way up to before you get into Pflugerville, or the not
You got a
incorporated area.
Wow.
Yeah, so that's District 1. My biggest thing is going to be traffic. And I do have a good solution for traffic. One of those, right now there's a plan on the books to make 183 a toll road. And I don't think we should make it a toll road, because if we make 183 a toll road from I-35 going to Highway 71, no one's going to take it. They're going to jump on 35. And we're putting these toll roads in the poorest, side of town, So the people on that side of town are not going to take the toll road.
Well, Jackson there has the answer to all our traffic problems. He ought to be running too.
That's Perry's thing.
And so,
That's not, what? Is that one of my people?
Yeah, the toll road, yeah.
So definitely, get rid of that toll road. What I would do is actually make 183 free. I would actually want to widen 183, and where we can, there's so much median there. We can make that bigger than I-35, and we can run that from where 183 crosses I-35 all the way down to where it hits the toll road, where you can cross back over and hit Buda, and actually make a loop around the city. And we can also put the big trucks, the 18-wheelers, on 183. If we can get the big trucks to go around and make that loop, make it free for them, hit 183, unless they're making local deliveries, then they go through the city, but then loop around, because Austin's one of the few major cities in the country that doesn't have a hazmat route. You know,
Sure
we got a
does.
hazardous material
Right.
driving straight through
Right in the
downtown.
middle of town.
Exactly, where we, thrown store away from the Austin Police Department or away from, other buildings, the Capitol.
Right by two of the biggest hospitals in this town.
Exactly. If they take those out, we're
Building
done.
another.
Yeah, we're definitely done.
The point is, you won't believe what kind of stuff goes down 35.
Right. Explosives. Right straight through the capital of Texas.
Yeah.
So if we actually put the big trucks on 183 and get them to loop around, because a lot of times they're having problems, especially in the afternoon, hitting that, crossing the river and going up that hill. And that's where traffic started slowing down, and then it's done all the way down to Buda, Slaughter Lane, and it's just
the
backed up.
opposite going the other way.
Exactly. So if we do that, then that would definitely free up some things. Also, what I would like to do is the city of Austin and also the state agencies are sitting on prime real estate downtown.
Amen.
Prime real estate that's worth billions of dollars. And these are, a lot of them are old buildings. We can actually sell some of these buildings off and build a newer facility on the outer limits of the city that would be cheaper, and then update these facilities and also make them eco-friendly. Put solar panels on them, and actually put energy back to the grid and actually sell it back to Austin Energy, and it's a win-win situation for everyone. For one, when you sell that old facility, then someone else, we'll sell it off. Someone's going to buy that building. We're going to keep the integrity of the exterior of the building, so in the case there's some historical stuff about it, we want to make sure it stays there. But then the inside, we can gut that out, get rid of those old pipes, get the new company or whoever it is, to come in, and actually you can make it an apartment, you can make it condos, you can make it office buildings, or whatever you want to make it, and sell it off. Now you have a government building now being sold to the commercial sector, and now they're paying taxes,
Amen.
putting money back, into the debt. So we've sold it for billions of dollars or whatever it's worth, and then now we're making taxes off of it. Now we can pay down some of our debt and lower some of our other services. And now we have a newer facility directing those workers that are going downtown. We're directing them to the new place on the outskirts, not going straight through downtown, and we're getting rid of our traffic problem there. So we're, 183, that's one way, get some people off the road, move some of these buildings on the outer limits of the city. That's another way to get even more people off the road.
You've been go ahead.
We talk about 183. I still want to know what happened to 183 when they stopped right there, expanding the road around Main Road. I mean, come on. They expanded it up north, but yet when it came to the east part of town,
It all
they
stopped, didn't it?
stopped. What happened to that? What happened to the funds?
Cross 35
Was nothing else allocated to complete it?
And they're wasting money because
mean-
they spent some time widening a couple of months ago, getting rid of the shoulder and adding the extra lane.
Yes.
Now they're saying, well, we're going to come back now. We're going to make it a toll road. Well, then why did you do that in the first place? You just wasted money.
Just don't even make it a toll
No,
road.
right? Exactly.
I mean, how many people
Exactly.
take the toll road off 183 to 290?
Keep blaming us
How many
now,
people
huh?
do that?
People tell me that you can actually jump on the toll road, that 130 or whatever it is toll road out by Georgetown, and you can actually go 100 miles an hour, 90 to 100 on the toll road, and someone will still beat you to downtown San Antonio, going straight through I-35.
At all the forums that you've attended in District 1, what are some of the issues or things that people most commonly talk about or seek input or help from a council member?
Right. A lot of it's going to be affordability, and the issue, what I just laid out to you, would actually help the east side of Austin. We can actually help lower some of those services because we have people that are losing their electricity. A month ago when it was 100 degrees out, we had 100 people per day were getting their power turned off because they couldn't pay the electric bill. We can help. My plan would actually put money back into the system, pay down the debt, and we can help these people with some of those basic services and needs that they need. And there are a lot of plans out there. There are a lot of options. The city of Austin actually has quite a few things out there that we can actually educate people on to help them get some of the needs that they have. So we just need to educate them a little bit also. But then we also can help by doing the things that I just suggested, and pay down some of that debt.
So I got a question for you, Mike. Mr. McNamara and Ms. Jackson were talking about looking at the budget. What do you see? What do you see? We've asked this to a lot of the candidates already, and so we're going to be asking you the same question. What do you see in the Austin City Council, in the Austin budget, that you can just say no, we can't use that, or we can't do that? Have you seen anything that you can just say it's got to go?
No, because I haven't seen it yet, and that's going to take, getting in there day one. When we're able to get in there and pull that sucker open and say, okay, let's go line by line, item by item, because there's going to be a lot. I can tell you that right now. For the one thing is, the city of Austin is the only city, in the state where you have more people getting paid over $100,000 that work for the city. $100,000 a year. So you're talking more people in Austin are getting paid over $100,000 a year than in Dallas, than in San Antonio, than in El Paso, than Houston. Austin is the smallest of all the large cities, and we have more people getting paid over $100,000 a year.
Where can we find those jobs? That's what I want to know.
Well, they can afford to live here, that's for sure, because the ones that don't can't.
Right.
They're all living in Williamson County, or
Pushed back.
Exactly. So now here's this is a question for both of you then. Jerry Patterson, as land commissioner, has consistently cut down his budget as much as possible, because the same complaint he has about his commission or about his department, everybody has. We're spending too much. And the question that has come up, that because they even asked him when he was still as a commissioner. At one point, do you guys think? Now, granted, for city council, you may not have the answer right now, but you brought up some pretty interesting stuff. At what point are you able to say, okay, we need to cut. We're going to cut, but we got to stop right here, because if not, then we're going to be screwed.
As far as what?
Budget wise, as far as budget,
So your
you brought
question
up people that are making six figures.
Right.
Okay, and if we were to come up with several different departments, we'd probably be able to say, yeah, we're probably doing some overlapping. There's probably some streamlining needs to be done. But at what point are we able to say, okay, enough's enough? We can cut all this, but then at this point we got to stop.
Well, we're gonna have a lot. We have a long way to go, because the budget here in Austin is just crazy.
Yes.
Some of the things that we're spending money on, but we have a long way to go. If we go through and just go, like I said, item by item, line by line, we can find out where we can cut some of the salaries. And I know people are gonna hate that, but that's just a fact. Then also, different departments, we just have to go through and just look at all that stuff and see, what's even possible. I can't tell you exactly what, because they're not even letting us look at anything right now. We have to do like an open records request.
When I used to work at the county, with Commissioner De Leon, we tried one idea, and that was eliminating subscriptions. Guess who's the biggest subscriber of the county? The Austin American Statesman. Okay, so so those were kind of like sacred cows you don't touch, politically, for whatever reason. But
because they're the only one that's reading the Austin American Statesman.
My God, here's the experience.
Back in those days, it was.
Here's the experience: a department head will receive a newspaper and have it on his desk. The maintenance guy or lady has to go outside and put $1 in the
To get a paper.
to get a newspaper. The other thing we tried to eliminate, and it was like, trying to take away the stars from the American flag, was eliminating paying for lawyers' certification or training. I mean, to me, in my opinion, these are people that should pay for their
Tax
own.
dollars was paying.
Yes, yes.
I tell you, one of the
And
things
the
I don't like.
licensing, like their licensing,
Yeah.
it will come out of the county budget and be
If
paid.
they work for the county.
Yeah, if they work for the county. And I say, wait a minute, no.
Well, the county hiring lawyers that don't have a license.
No, well, you have to have recertification and all these other processes.
See the credits and.
And updates but those are things that I think, as a lawyer, I mean, they're not making no $30,000 a year.
It's
They're making-
personal.
Well,
It's personal.
stuff.
As a professional, you know that's what you need to
Yeah.
do in your profession, so you should personally pay for that.
What I don't like is some of the things they're charging the citizens for, like some of the police services. Like if you have an alarm system, they actually charge you to have that alarm system in your house. So you're paying for something, however many years you've had an alarm system, you're paying for that alarm. You're paying the Austin Police Department like X amount of dollars a year. And if you dial 911 or if the police are actually called to the house, it's a mistake, then
charged for that.
you get 3 free, and then they'll charge you after that. What if you don't ever use it ever? I've never used it. I've always had an alarm for like 14 years, and I paid into this system every year $100 or something for every facility, my home, my business, and I'm not using this service. That's just way too much. I mean, 14 times.
Okay.
I still think the city of Boston came in here and they wasted so much money cutting down the lanes on streets and putting all these bike lanes in. I mean, that is what a waste of money.
Now
and we
I
have
heard, boy,
traffic,
you hit a sore
and we
spot
have
on it.
traffic. I mean, there's so much traffic. Why would you cut the lanes down and put on all these bike lanes? I mean, that is money.
Now that was the only exciting thing in the whole
Come
camp.
on, boy, you get your 2 cents in on that one.
That was the one thing that was the excitement of the campaign. We were at one of the forums, and I mentioned that.
Austin bicycle.
And all the way in the back, someone yelled, "You bike Nazi!" I was like, "Really? Wow!" Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
mean,
but
but
they're
it's-
so
it-
small.
Yes, and it costs so much
number-wise.
money, and so much traffic is backed up.
And-
I'm not saying that we don't need bike lanes for recreation, people that love bikes. I mean, you can go to McKinney Falls and ride your bike.
We probably have
I mean-
we have enough. I mean, we need to, Uh-oh, here we go.
Here it comes now.
You're my friend.
So, yeah,
You
no,
go.
absolutely, absolutely.
Oh,
So
yeah.
there's so much waste.
Yes.
I want to
There's
see
so much
bicyclists
waste.
be licensed. I want to see them have to pay license and road taxes like we do in our car. I like to see them buy insurance like we do for our car. They pay nothing to be on our roads, and yet they sit there and the bikers are the bike Nazis.
Yeah, there you go.
And they do not obey our laws. They run through red lights.
They
Of course,
do.
I roll down my window and yell at them repeatedly. They need to have the same. If they want to be on the road, they need to pay the same road tax that we pay when we license, and they need to buy insurance. Because I got hit by a bicycle and put a dent in my car, and what could I do?
So we need to make them get a little license plate for the
Well, they
bicycles.
used
Then
to
get them
do
all,
that.
make them all
Like
registered.
we
Yeah,
do.
absolutely. Absolutely.
We
Oh,
have
yeah.
to pass inspection.
If we're gonna build a lane for them.
Yeah.
So where would this? So where would
Wear
this?
helmet, he didn't wear nothing.
So will the money go to the
Bullet
city or will it go to the county?
But way back in the day, way back in the
mean-
day, we would get license,
Anyways,
little
we
license
go to
that you'd
bikes.
put on your bikes.
Oh, really?
The
Oh
honeycomb.
yeah.
Go
yeah.
to the honeycomb.
The bike people would go to your elementary schools and they'd have little bike
Yeah, I remember what you're talking
rodeos
about,
and then they'll give you a little
So what you're
plaque.
saying they need to start putting back into the system all these
Yeah.
millions of dollars that we're spending
Well,
on these
you
bike
register
lanes.
the bike, and you'd have some, if something happened, you have the tag or whatever.
But what I've seen though, and with them reformatting the roads, taking a 4-lane road and turning it into a 2-lane road,
Yes.
basically with a turn lane down the middle, and sometimes doing it with just in the matter of a few feet. I mean, all of a sudden you're looking up and you're in a turn lane or you're in the wrong lane,
Yeah.
and it's, to me, it's very dangerous. And the fact is, it also for me is distractive to have somebody riding a bicycle next to me, and especially on a larger highway, 360 or 620, one of these, and it's just you're going by them at 60 or 70 miles an hour, and you're looking at them because you're worried about them coming in front of you, and it's distractive. And it's,
Mr.
to me,
McNamara,
it's a dangerous thing.
I'd like everybody go out East William County. That's just what we're talking about. They had a nice 6-lane East William County, and they made a little bitty skinny lane so you could put a bike lane in there.
That's right.
If you're in a truck or a bus
And-
or an older person at night
Hey.
when it's raining real hard,
And they, people are getting killed riding the bicycles, and I
And you
love
get jumping in that
bicycles.
accident.
Don't get me wrong. I grew up riding a bicycle. I threw newspapers on a bicycle. I used to
Never
be
wore a
strong.
helmet
I
either,
could
did
do
you?
that. But the thing is, it's gotten out of hand. It's just gotten out of hand.
East William
And
County is
nobody
a prime example of that.
and nobody talks about how much it costs. You're exactly right.
Well,
Nobody
it's
has ever talked
expensive.
about
It's expensive to
for them
widen
to
those
go out
roads,
and
let me tell you.
redo those. It kind of.
You're
Have you
talking
ever
millions of
gone
dollars
down
a mile.
You ever gone down to University and looked at the gutters where the drainage is,
Mm-hmm.
and they got a little frog or a little brass plate in there that says don't put things down the drain.
Let me tell you the
Who
funniest thing.
Who paid for all
The
that?
funniest thing I saw last week, I was sitting down over by UT at a restaurant. I'm not going to tell you which one it was because I don't think the officer called it in. But I was sitting inside this little restaurant down by UT, and I turned around. For some reason, I was looking out the window, and the police car was stopped at the light, and this bicyclist came up and just rear-ended the APD officer.
A bicycle?
A bicyclist just out of nowhere, he just rear-ended the officer, and it was just like you could tell he caught the officer off guard because he sat there for a second, and then he turned his lights on, and then he just sat there for a second, and then he got out and looked. It's like I can't believe this guy just rear-ended me, you know. And
What the hell was he smoking?
to his left is a huge bike lane, huge bike lane that's big enough that you can drive a car on. Because they actually took like 2 or 3 lanes
Yeah,
from
they
this
did.
road
Yeah,
so
they
they
did.
can go opposite
did.
directions.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And so the
Yeah.
guy was not in the bike lane; he was in the car lane and rear-ended
Yeah.
an APD
Yeah.
officer. The funniest thing I've ever seen in my life. Why did we spend millions of dollars for this
You
bike
don't-
lane?
We don't need to go that far. When we leave here, if you go down
Yeah.
Pleasant Valley Road and 7th Street
Mm.
and take Pleasant Valley Road to, not Pleasant Valley, Pedernales,
Pedernales.
and take it down to Cesar Chavez,
Mm-hmm.
you'll notice a bike lane on the left-hand
A
side.
big curb on it.
Big old curve, brand new, barely installed with barricades. So no bikes can come
Yeah,
and
what
go.
is with that? It's
With
been
barricades.
built for a long time now.
Yeah, wait a minute.
So yeah, I'm gonna share with you because I was at a leadership Austin
we gotta-
breakfast a while back, and it was about mobility.
Come on,
And
Bob.
and one of the things was the Wilhelmina
Hold on there,
Delco,
Bill.
who's a very respected person, and she got into that, and she said, "Why are they building all these bike lanes on each side?
Hey,
My
smell
folks,
my
quote, my folks don't use
smell my
bicycles." I honest to God, and that's a fact. That's a fact. Why are they doing this? And they're forcing it on us in
Exactly.
a manner that nobody wants and
And it's
nobody
dangerous,
needs.
especially on these roads
It's
on the
very
east side of Austin
dangerous.
with no lights, so you can, just like you said, so you can't see at night. So you got these people
night,
that
Main
are
road,
riding.
for
Yeah,
instance.
you have them
Main
riding
road.
these bicycles at night. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
very
yeah.
dangerous.
I know.
And speaking of those bike lanes on Pedernales, the northbound is open, but you can't use the southbound lane. There's only one of those bicycle lanes is closed.
And I talked to the guy from the city on that. I said, wait a minute, here's the bike lane and here's the car lane. So if I'm going to turn right, how am I going to know that there's a bike coming?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's the most dangerous thing ever.
Well, we have some kind of
Yeah.
setup,
It
some
is.
up
It's
north,
just-
and eventually it's going to come here
It's
where
very
Oh,
dangerous.
eventually.
it's gonna, like
Very
a
dangerous.
signal
Yeah.
or something like that.
Just think, Michael,
And-
this is something that you're going to have to deal with.
And in order to-
you're going
and-
to say, how am I going to get into
Yeah, well, they're not gonna like it.
Not only that, you might have to deal with it if it's a Travis County issue.
Well, and
Bring the streets back.
then you got the folks that are riding the bicycle on the county roads, and they dump on their head and they sue the county, and the county rolls over and pays them for it. And so there's lots of instances like that, and it's just we're upside down. We're upside down on a lot of things like that that just don't make common sense. You cannot fix traffic congestion by making the roads more narrow.
And you're not
We have-
going to be able to fix it by building a rail system because that rail you're
We
going to have to
hadn't
sit
even
it. You're going to have
talked
to
about
sit
that
at
yet.
lights.
Yeah.
When that rail goes by,
Trust
it's
me.
only
Yeah.
and that rail is only going to go from Riverside that service UT and ACC. Those people are already taking the bus for free now. So you're not going to, it's not going to relieve traffic off I-35. And then the main part of it, you're talking. The price tag of it is $1 billion.
Yeah.
I don't care
Yeah.
how you want to say
You
it,
could
how you
run
want to
buses
split it up, what
bumper
you
to
want to say.
bumper.
It's $1 billion.
Marilyn Jackson's
Yeah.
idea is it.
Yeah.
That $1 billion. How many of these toll roads can we buy for that? Tear them toll booths down?
Oh, we're gonna have to.
We already got it done.
The main traffic problem in Austin, one of my big issues is it's not a taxpayer of the city of Austin's problem. That is a state problem. It's going to be a federal problem because we're talking about the Interstate 35.
Yeah.
That is not the taxpayer's problem. We're talking about people that are coming from Round Rock, coming from Pflugerville, coming from Georgetown, the people that are coming from Buda, coming from Kyle, coming from
San
San
Antonio.
Antonio. That is not an Austin taxpayer's problem. That should not be on the backs of Austin taxpayers.
Yeah, and that's where as a Travis County judge, I want to be standing up and working with the legislatures and pushing them, Campo and CTRMA especially, saying, okay, we got a problem here. We all know it's here. We've been fighting you off for a long time, telling you we don't want roads. Well, that's all changed. We need roads, and we need the state to get in here and help us get things straightened out. SH 45 is a hot topic, and that's one of them that I'm very much in support of. It was passed, I think, by the taxpayers back in the 1990s, and has been put off by a small contingency of people who have come up with excuse after excuse after excuse, to the point where I don't know how many millions of dollars it's going to cost more, but not only that, it's not going to be a free road anymore, it's going to be a toll road. But that's the reason we're having toll roads now. They just put
Well,
they just
the,
put
I've
it
been telling you,
off
the
on.
plan is already in place to make that 183 a toll road, and it's going to be a toll road from I-35 to.
We fought
To
the
71.
toll road projects, and we didn't get anywhere.
Nobody wanted it, we got it anyway.
You know,
Mr. Watson and all
it's
that.
interesting because on this bike lane that they constructed here,
Over here.
this is the city's thinking. Well, we're going to resurface the road, and we're going to do this and do that. And while we're doing that, we might as well go ahead and do the bike lanes for future, because we're already excavating the road to begin with. So they came out to the community, they had numerous neighborhood
They
meetings.
sure did.
What do you think? What do you think?
Everybody said no.
But everybody said no, and
I
guess
think
what?
one of those meetings, anybody said
I
yes.
received a letter from the city saying that, hey, we're going to do it anyway. Well, why send staff?
Well, that's because they know voters are
Apathetic.
apathetic.
Exactly.
That's
That
why,
was-
and that's why they do whatever they want to do.
Toll road meetings,
Yeah.
we
Yeah.
had hundreds of people at those things,
Yeah.
hundreds upon hundreds of people at those toll road meetings, and those people just sat
No.
up there and said, ah, ha, ha, ha.
That-
Kept
that-
talking about lights.
That was
I
Yeah, they
didn't
did.
think they could hear me.
that was
Yeah.
that was your people.
Which
That
is
was
a nice
Perry,
segue.
one of that toll road
Sorry
out
for
there.
the-
Because I do have a question for both of you. Okay, you've already stated on recently that on some of the block walking that you've done, you've had people that don't care. You have people that are out there that that are only concerned about national topics and not the local topics. What are you doing with those individuals? I mean, how much are you seeing? I guess the question would be, how much are you seeing of people that are apathetic? And
What do you do about it?
what are you doing about trying to change it?
Well, I'll sit there and I ask him. I say, well, what are some of the things that you would like to see different in Austin? One of the first things that everyone says is traffic. Especially if they're north of 15th Street, and south of the river, they're gonna say traffic because if they don't have to go, across the highway there. And I said, well, how do you, who do you think is gonna fix that problem? Because a lot of people tell me they don't go vote, or they'll only vote when there's a presidential election, because they'll vote, for the president or whoever, and it doesn't matter too much in Texas because we know which way, the state of Texas is going to go. But the places where you need to spend that vote is actually down the ballot, at the bottom of the ballot, because those are people that are going to affect you the most. Your city council is going to affect you the most.
Yes.
Your county judge is going to
school
affect
board
you.
member.
The school board is going to affect you the most, especially if you have kids in school. And so they just, I don't know, it's really hard and it's really frustrating sometimes.
And Mike, you got the same, what do you hear?
Well, and I'm dismayed when I find somebody that just says they just don't vote. That grieves me. But I've been fortunate enough that when I start talking to people about taxes and lowering their taxes, that gets to them. That gets to them right here and in their pocketbook right here. So the fact is that is an important issue to them, and traffic is right in there too. That we need to improve the roads, and again, roads to me, it's not just an impediment. It's not just an inconvenience. It's a public safety issue.
Yes.
And along with the bicycles, and that's a part of it, but compressing the lanes and whatnot is causing, I think, probably going to cause more wrecks, and they don't talk about how many
Pressing
people
them
that are
darn lanes
injured.
is what drives me nuts.
But the fact is that there people, when I talk to them in earnest about getting their taxes down where they can manage it and get them off, because when I ran in 2010, people that I went to high school with that are retired now and living on a fixed income, which puts me in that senior category, we can't afford to keep our own home. And then, like, I have family members, younger ones, that know because they live right downtown in a nice area, they cannot afford the mounting costs of those property taxes. It will, even though the house is paid off, they're having to pay it off again and again and again.
Now, there's-
so
now,
there's
there's
got
a-
to be. I don't see as much apathy there, but we have failed in some way in teaching our youngsters as they come up the responsibility, the civic duty. We don't ever talk
Of a
about that anymore.
homestead.
A homestead and your obligation to go vote. You know, over in Iraq, those people are getting bombed, they're getting shot while they're standing in line to vote. And they're coming out of there with that purple finger in the air saying, I voted. And they're doing
Right.
99%.
Right, and we
You
can't
know?
get 20%.
We can't get 20%.
18.
Now, but this 10-1 thing has people stirred up.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm counting on that
We'll
to
see.
stir up that undercurrent
We'll see.
and get a big turnout.
We'll see.
Well, I'm
one of the
praying
tricks,
for it.
one of the tricks that I'll try is I will look up people's Facebook pages, and I'll see some of the things they're complaining about on Facebook, because people will complain about things on Twitter and
There's,
Facebook,
there's
and
a lot of
then
screen
see if
for
if I can reach out to them and say, hey, these are some of the things that we can fix on the local level
Right.
here in the city,
Right.
because most of their issues are local
Right.
issues.
And that's where it all starts. You're exactly right. We've got to make them understand this is where you can make a difference, and that's why I've always been involved in local politics. I've been working grassroots since the '70s, and I believe in finding somebody you can get behind and get to work, get out there and make it
Don't
happen.
bring the
The
computer
date-
out here, Ma.
The date to register to vote in this election is October the 6th.
That's the last day to register.
October
So
ninth.
you are not registered. You
October
have
6th.
up until October the 6th to register in order to be eligible to vote in the November 4th election.
right.
LULAC will have a voter registration up to midnight at 2121 East 6th Street.
Me and Gabriel
So-
are gonna go register people tomorrow at lunchtime.
I do have one last thing I
Go
wanted
for
to say,
Uh-huh.
and that is in District 1, the Austin Police Department is trying to build a jail, actually in District 1, over by Cameron Road, and we all know usually what happens when they build facilities, that
That
whatever's
crackhead
around
stuff
it
right next
becomes to
door.
be a bad neighborhood anywhere around it. So they wanted, and what they're trying to do is they're trying to take money from the Travis County
Right,
Sheriff's
right.
Department.
I'm not
And
understanding all
right.
I know about
so,
that.
I don't think the Austin Police Department, do a very good job at treating their citizens when they're out in the street. And I know doggone well they're not going to do good at treating them if they have them locked up somewhere off of Cameron Road. So I'm definitely not in favor of them building their own jail. The Travis County Sheriff's Department is a great department. The sheriff takes, we have no complaints whatsoever out of the Travis
Yeah,
County Sheriff's
yeah.
Department. Never had any complaints at all.
And there might be an ulterior motive behind that whole part because
Amen.
of what's going on with
Amen.
Sheriff Gregg.
Yeah,
And the
and it's
whole-
very much a political.
Yeah.
It's a
Correct.
political motivation, and that
There's-
came up in that Austin, the last forum we went to, the Austin
So
Interfaith.
if people need to pay attention to what's going
Yeah.
on, because
And
if
it's
we
gonna
let the
cost
APD
them.
get their own jail, I'm telling you now, if you think they're mistreating people or shooting dogs or people,
That's true.
right now while they're out in the street, wait until they get you behind bars
Yeah.
and really find out how they
Yeah.
treat you. So you
It's
better
just like
you better
when they
take
had
part in
that-
this election.
That big fire at, what was it, Midtown? Mm-hmm. When the officers were overheard over the
Yeah.
radio,
Yeah, let's
saying,
burn.
burn, baby, burn.
Right.
Well, my testimony at city council was that they knew,
Hey, come
There
on
you
in
go.
here quick.
they knew that communication was open. They knew that the radios, people were listening. What scares me was, what do they say when none of that is on?
Right.
Exactly.
Right.
Okay, that's the question. What do they say and how
Hey,
do
Chris,
they
you still
behave?
got the computer on?
Right.
Shutting that out.
But the
No,
last,
she got to leave it up. We got to show that next Monday. we gotta
the
show that
last Republican judge, I think was Bob Huntz,
county judge.
county judge.
County judge.
County judge was Bob
it Bob
Huntz.
Huntz?
I don't think he was county judge. He was commissioner.
He was commissioner.
Yeah, he was
And I know that Travis County.
Here's what the newspaper
Keel.
always says. Twice they've said that there hadn't been a Republican Travis County elected to Travis County judge since Reconstruction, and I'm saying I think it's about time we had some new construction.
I think Keel was the last.
Keel was the sheriff. He was the sheriff.
Yeah,
wanted
but
to work for that
I guess what I'm trying to say is,
Quick, you got to let him say something quick.
okay, what I'm trying to say is that
Yeah.
that's the last Republican that won
Countywide.
countywide race, and that was Sheriff Keel as a
That's
Republican.
right. That's right.
We have a new guest that just walked in, and we got
Yeah.
4 minutes.
Yeah, right.
He
Hey,
worked with others, he-
Thank you.
We understand that you're tied up a little bit, so we
Yeah.
understand we have a few more minutes. If we can, tell us a little bit about yourself. Say hi.
Yeah, you
Hi,
got about
folks.
3 minutes, right?
Well, I broke every rule and every law that's possibly made between South Austin to get over here to East Austin. driving down 90 miles an hour on Highway 35. You know, and that's with traffic.
Allegedly.
Allegedly.
We have no pictures and no proof.
Allegedly.
Well, that's what's been thrown to my campaign is if you don't have proof that they're taking down your signs, you can't blame it on me. You know? So yeah, we're still having those issues, and it's serious. It's gotten to epic proportion now. Now, when 50% of your signage is gone.
Yeah.
You know, and we went and put up some signs this Sunday, and 30 minutes later, they were gone.
Yeah.
You know, is people following me?
We need a hidden camera.
Yeah.
That's
He
crazy.
had one, we played it here on the show, they actually showed some guy taking the sign.
It's a sign.
Right
They
out of
wasn't
my
get
home.
enough camera to get
Yeah.
ID.
Yeah. I'm Julian Limon Fernandez. I'm running for District 3, which is East Austin, Montopoulos, and parts of South Austin, from Stastny all the way up to Old Torf. I'm very proud to be running because I want to represent the people of District 3. I don't care what race they are, because I have gone to a lot of the Republican parties. They've invited me, you know, because they want they want to hear what everyone has to put into here, and all the candidates in District 3 are afraid to talk to Republicans. You know, I found out that they bleed the same. They think you know, and you know their issues are genuine in our district. They have issues also, you know, and the Anglos have issues with taxes now. You know, where it wasn't apparent, and all of a sudden here you see the county courthouse full of Anglos. This is something that we've been crying for about the last 20 years. Affordability.
Yeah.
Yeah, now we're catching on.
Now it's finally catching on, and it's not only the Republicans, it's everybody. You know, we need to be fair to each other.
Well-
we all live and have to coexist.
We have to be fair here, and take about 30 seconds to tell us what events you got coming up, so we can all.
Okay, this Saturday, I've invited all the candidates, and we put out a poster for them to come out to the Moose Lodge so people can come and see us all together.
Free beer?
Well, there'll be free beer for you. I bought you your last beer, too.
Thank you. All right, quit.
So, yeah, it's going to be at the Moose Lodge on Saturday from 8 to midnight. I think I'm the only candidate. I think I'm the only one in all the districts that is throwing a party for my opponents. That way we can all be together, have some fun, bring in your people.
We're down to a minute, so
people want to donate, go for it.
what you got coming up? 30 seconds.
All right. Well, if you go to my website, cargillfortexas.com, we actually have a calendar posted up there. We have a lot of events coming up. We have a fundraiser coming up in October. But the big thing is just getting out and.
We gotta watch out with the fundraisers. And
Oh, yeah, we have to
Oh.
Fundraisers are bad.
Sorry
got some
about
events.
that.
we got some events.
Donate.
Well, just go to the website at cargillfortexas.com, and there's a lot of information on there.
Yeah, absolutely. VoteMcNamara.com, and we've also got a Mike McNamara for Travis County Judge Facebook page, and you'll
can
find
have 15
a
seconds.
lot of great things on there
Encourage
that you
people
might
to
be
get
interested
involved
in.
regardless of
And
who
thank you
candidate
for
or
being
whatever.
here. Thanks for everybody.
10-4,
I appreciate sharing
everybody
time.
need to be involved. Next week, right here, there's a town hall meeting with the board of directors for Channel Austin. I'd really like to ask everybody to come out and take a look. Channel Austin, I didn't get to ask y'all what y'all think about it, but Channel Austin, it's an asset that the county can use, the whole city can use. Bye-bye, folks.
Thank you.